folks. It's Sunday and it's February 4th, 2018. This is Bertie Lavorne, and I'm here for the Faith Leap podcast, number 4. Alrighty, let's get going on this because what I've been learning about all day is Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle. But we're not going to really talk about that. I have been learning a lot about the philosophies from the Greek philosophers. But it brought up something in today that is called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance, I found a beautiful quote from Frantz Fanon. And his definition of this cognitive dissonance is sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. When they are presented with the evidence that works against this belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It would create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable, called cognitive dissonance. And because it's so important to protect the core belief, people will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit in with their core belief. So I'm going to break this down. And stories, of course, because I'm a storyteller. When I read the very first sentence, sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. All right, my core belief that is very strong was that my country was going to look out for the welfare of me and my family, and all of the wars and the setup, for lack of better term, of this country was to benefit me. The wars were to protect our country because there were people out there that were bad. The Federal Reserve was to protect our money. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Sometimes people hold core beliefs that is very strong. America is watching out for the better interest of me because I am an American. That was my core belief. When they are presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. All right. I got 2 stories on this one. About a decade ago, I read a book about a meeting in Jekyll Island before the Federal Reserve was brought about. And it was a brilliant book. I can't remember the author right now. I should probably put that in my notes. But he goes on to tell you how this meeting is really what caused the collapse and the depression that my mother lived through and established the banking that we know today. That was all done in a meeting down in Jekyll Island. And I read up on the Federal Reserve and, kind of did a little bit of waking up in that process. But then 9/11 happened. And for the first 3 years, I bought, the whole narrative that it was about 19 hijackers ramming jumbo jets into our Twin Towers and down in Shanksville and all that good story that they told us. But when I started, and thanks to the internet and a few friends, when I started looking at the evidence that my country basically wasn't looking out for the good of myself and my family, I broke down. I couldn't accept it. And it wasn't until my friend in 2015 just said something like, why don't you go back and look at the details on Sandy Hook? So I did that. It was 3 years after the Sandy Hook false flag And I started seeing so much information that was inconsistent with the narrative that my mind was blown. I think finding out that Sandy Hook was a pre planned event just destroyed my faith in our government. And I can't see it in any other light now. So that evidence really did work against my belief. And I did read and watch and dive into all of the new evidence, but I didn't want to accept it. But then one day you just have to. One day the evidence is so overwhelming that you have to go, oh, there's really something to this. And it did create a feeling that was extremely uncomfortable and paranoid. And nothing came through my filters and my lenses the same way ever again. And that was 3 years ago. I didn't feel that it was important to protect the core belief. I was one of the lucky ones. I was one of the ones who kept digging. And I said, I cannot just sit back and watch this happen when my gut tells me that there's really something to this. So when I hit the child trafficking and the organ harvesting, what they call conspiracy, I could have been bedridden. I was so distraught. In my life, everything that was black was now white. Everything that was up was now down. Everything that was true was now false. Everything came crashing down to where cognitive dissonance did not even resonate with me any longer. That's my dog. So that very rude awakening has changed my life in every facet. I can no longer have normal conversations with people that don't carry the weight of an elephant. I can no longer watch movies, either on television or in a movie theater, without picking it apart, trying to find multiple meanings. I drive down the road and see everything different than what I used to. I was naive and I was gullible and I was vulnerable. I won't say that I was happier. I don't think I can explain happiness. I was asleep and it's kind of what happens when your parents die. You feel vulnerable and you're just like, wow, I'm the only one out here in this world. I'm an orphan, but I feel like an orphan. I feel like an orphan to this earth. So I think what I have to do is I have to talk about it. I have to talk about this because what will solve this with the majority of the world being asleep at the wheel is collective consciousness will absolutely prevail if we can get the masses to just wake up and see the darkness that is so prevalent in the entire world. There is a darkness, there is an underbelly of darkness. And if we can raise the consciousness of people to the point to where we all see it, and it doesn't even have to be all, it just has to be the majority. If we can all see this darkness and call it out for what it is, we will beat it. But if we choose to sit back and stick our heads into a television program, gossip columns, keeping up with those crazy Kardashian folks, we have no hope as a human species. We will make sure that our existence is obliterated if we're that lazy and we're that cognitively dissident, then we will blow ourselves up. Just seems like the truth to me. Wake up. Please wake up. We need you. We need you to wake up. We need everybody to talk to other people who just bury their heads in the sand and say, I'm so busy. My life is so busy. Screw that. Your life is not a Groundhog Day episode. Anyway, I'm getting off track and I'm definitely getting all emotional over here because I just want 51% of us to wake up and call it for what it is so we can get rid of the darkness. And then we can go on to just being light beings and, have a whole lot of fun and see the beauty and the birds and the trees and the watching stuff grow. Anywho, that's Bertie Lavorne's spiel for today. I sure hope you enjoyed it. I did. Take care. Be well. Namaste, y'all.